Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Money, Real Business podcast. I'm Lauren, and today we have Jake on the show who's selling an Amazon FBA and e-commerce business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Hey Jake, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Hey, how's it going, Lauren? I'm good. Excited to be on the podcast.
Well, we're very excited to have you here. It certainly sounds like you've got a great business on your hands, and I can't wait to learn more about it. But before we dive in, let's give the listeners a brief summary of the business so they can follow along. As I mentioned, this is an Amazon FBA and e-commerce business. It was created in January 2019, and it's in the home and office supply niches. The average revenue for the business is $42,518 per month, and it makes an average of $7,588 per month in net profit. The assets included with the sale are an Amazon Seller Central account with 11 SKUs, a primary domain and all site content and files, a secondary domain and all site content and files, supplier relationships, a Walmart account, an Etsy account, trademarks and patents, an email list with 71 subscribers, and an SMS list with 166 subscribers. Please note that inventory is not normally included in the list price, but further details can be provided to verified buyers. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 64125 to learn more about this business. Or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So now that we have a rundown of the business, let's hear from the seller. Jake, can you fill us in on your background in starting and running online businesses?
Yeah, no problem. So this isn't the first business that I've started. I've got some experience running a few different businesses, I'd say about 5 or 6 now at this point. And all of them have related to manufacturing custom products, bringing them to customers, as well as some e-commerce. So that ranges from, in the early days, things like t-shirts, and then getting more complex as I've gone on to custom phone cases with custom injection molding, all the way to nootropics, so creating supplements. And then additionally, I have some background in software development, which kind of gives me the mindset of trying to optimize and automate things however I can.
Yeah, great. It certainly sounds like you've got a wide range of experiences there, which I'm sure helped you with this business. What inspired you to start this particular business with these products in this niche?
I really like the niche that I'm in because, one, it gives you the opportunity to really be creative. In the home and office space, you get to add a lot more of the design aspect than you would in some of the other spaces. And that lets you use your imagination. It gives you a lot of fulfillment. And it also gives you a lot of ways to stand out from the competition. So it brings me personal fulfillment and joy, as well as helping me stand out from competitors.
Yeah, fantastic. It definitely is a great niche to be in, and it helps having that visual element, as you say. What attracted you to Amazon FBA in particular? Were you ever tempted to try any other e-commerce platforms like Shopify or Walmart, for example?
I really love Amazon FBA, and I think it's one of the best forms of e-commerce and business models in general. And the reason why is that, one, Amazon FBA is extremely scalable. So you put in a lot of the upfront work, creating good products and creating a good listing. And then once it's up and running, then things are a lot more on autopilot. So you can put in the hard work up front. Additionally, it gives you the ability to really add value to the market. So if you're willing to put in the work, you can create custom products that customers actually get a lot of value from and really enjoy. I know that some of our best-selling products, I'll get messages from my customers every week about how much it really means to them and how much it's impacted their family members or their lives. And then additionally, Amazon FBA is great because it's more cash intensive versus time intensive. So it gives you the ability to create and build an extremely scalable business that becomes passive over time, while also letting you keep the amount of free time you need to either work a job or spend with family or things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said. It must be so rewarding to get that feedback from your customers. And as you say, Amazon, you put the work in up front, and it's amazing how things can really snowball from there. You also sell your products on Etsy. Can you walk us through how much percentage of your revenue is made from Etsy and whether you sell all your SKUs on that platform or just a certain number of them?
Right now, I'd say Etsy is maybe 1 to 2% of sales, nothing crazy. I think that Etsy is a pretty big opportunity for expansion. We currently sell, I'd say, about 7 SKUs on there, and there is room to add the other SKUs. I think what's nice is that a lot of our products do particularly well on Etsy because of the nature of the products. And there's big room for adding the additional SKUs, as well as pushing a bit more for marketing on Etsy. So about 2%. And I think that's one opportunity that if I were to invest more time and energy into the business right now, that might be an avenue I go for revenue expansion.
Yeah, absolutely. You seem to have a really great handle on this business. You've experienced a lot of success with it. What are the reasons you've decided to sell the business now?
I hit a really interesting point in my life where, as I mentioned, Amazon businesses are great because you can scale them up while doing other things at the same time. So I was in the position where I was working a job that I really enjoyed, software development. It was very fulfilling. And then on the side, I was growing this business, which was very rewarding. It was bringing in extra cash while also letting me be creative and make new products. And the mindset that I had was that I was going to just keep doing this until I was financially independent. And then at that point, and when I say financially independent, I mean having a certain amount of dollars just from straight passive income. Then I had other projects that I wanted to work on just for the sake of them, ones that wouldn't bring in cash, but would bring me a lot of joy and fulfillment. And my mindset was that these had to wait until I had that passive income. Then this opportunity popped up in my life where I switched jobs and got a new software job at one of the big tech companies that paid about 2.5 times what my old job did. So this put me in an interesting position where I had to really take a step back and examine my life and who I am as a person and think about, okay, should I continue on this path of growing my side business, which I like, while also working my job? And then these passion projects I want to work on, once I'm financially independent, then I can start to prioritize them. Or now that I'm on a much quicker trajectory towards financial independence, should I instead start prioritizing these other areas of my life that are important to me, but I'm not putting time into? And taking a step back and giving myself a hard look in the mirror, I had this uncomfortable feeling in my stomach, the kind of feeling where you know what the right decision is, but you don't really want to do it. And it felt like a really big growing point for me in my life where I've always been an extremely rigid person. And it felt like this was my gut telling me that I needed to be a little bit more well-rounded and focused on other areas of life. So I took this as a cue that it was time for me to hop to the next chapter of my life and kind of re-examine my priorities and how I do things. And part of that would be, while this business is growing and bringing in cash, being willing to step into my discomfort and sell this business so that I could start prioritizing other projects that may not necessarily bring in as much cash, but bring me a lot of joy and fulfillment and kind of add to the fullness of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like you're a really exciting stage in your life. And that's what's great about the flexibility of online business. You've built it up to this point, but now you can sell it and use that capital injection towards your future projects, which is fantastic. Looking back over your journey with this business, are there any big wins or successes that stand out to you?
I think that I have one key product that really hit the ground running, where that product makes up the majority of our revenue And the reason that I think it's a win is not just because the revenue it brings in, but the impact it has on customers. I really think that you need to add value to the market if you want to have a business that can succeed in the long term. And just hearing how much this product means to our customers. And once you see the product, you'll know what I'm talking about. But the way these customers use this product, they'll write into me and talk about just how much it means to them or how it played an important role in their life or a family member's life, or they bought it for someone in a very, I guess, meaningful way. It's cool just to see that this isn't just something someone is buying off of Amazon. It's actually a product that has a lot of impact on them. So it's cool to see the next level effects of these products. And I think that plus the revenue would make that one product one of the biggest wins for this business.
Yeah, it must be a great feeling to produce products that really enrich a lot of other people's lives. That's a wonderful thing. I'm sure not everything was so great. Were there any big setbacks or challenges that you had to overcome with the business?
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest challenges of this business was one, learning the right level of product differentiation that you want to have. So, being in the home and office space, a lot of products can be design based. And that can go on a spectrum from let me just create what someone else is doing. So, just kind of copycatting, which I don't like to do, or let me create something from scratch. And when you're figuring everything out for yourself, it can be hard to find the right balance. I've gone to the extreme end of custom making products. And the thing that I've learned is that anytime you add some level of customization, you're making an assumption about what customers want. So you want to customize your products enough to stand out from the competition and add value, but not so much that you're just making a ton of assumptions about customers would want without any data backing that. So finding the right point of customization was something that was initially tricky, but that I eventually got down and feel good about. And one challenge that I faced early on, now that I have this business up and running and money's coming in, I can afford to use a prep center. But I remember in the early days when I was trying to keep costs low and I was trying to bootstrap as much as possible, I had my first shipment of products coming in and I was extremely nervous. I didn't know necessarily how to run an Amazon FBA business and was figuring everything out as I go. So I had this shipment of about 1,000 to 2,000 products. Instead of going to a prep center, I had it coming to my house. So in the middle of winter in a snowstorm, this guy pulls up at my house with his truck, and there's a language barrier where the guy can't necessarily speak English and I can't communicate with him. So together, we're not really able to talk. And in the middle of the snowstorm, we're unloading the back of his truck right by my house, 7 to 8 pallets worth of products. And then I bring all of those products into the basement of my house, takes up the entire basement. Just for reference, the total weight of these products is probably like 4,000 pounds. So they were taking up a decent amount of space. And I had the realization in my head, oh God, like, what am I going to do? I have to sell through all these products or they're just going to be sitting here in my basement. And then later throughout the next week, I went into every single product myself and I put a thank you card into each of them. Now I just have my supplier do that instead, but it was definitely a lot of manual process. I prepped these products myself for UPS pickup and shipment by shipment, got all these products over to Amazon. And while this was a crazy journey in the early days and a lot of work, eventually all those products sold through. And I got the affirmation and positive feedback that these were products that customers wanted. And then at that point, I was able to start sending these products to prep centers, streamline things a bit more. But these are some fun and crazy stories that I like to look back on from the early days.
Yeah, it certainly shows how far you've come. It must have been very overwhelming looking at all that product, filling your entire basement, knowing you had to sell all that stock. But you've certainly come a long way since then. Turning to look at your traffic now, do you use PPC or listing description SEO to drive consumers to your products?
So right now, it's a combination of some Amazon PPC as well as listing SEO. What I'll say is that the majority of sales come from listing SEO and organic traffic, while some does come from Amazon PPC. And for Amazon PPC, everything is pretty hands off right now. So for instance, our best selling product haven't touched the PPC in months. Things have been pretty streamlined. I will say that PPC is one area where if you wanted to, you could also optimize this business. So finding some new keywords or cutting down costs. But right now, PPC is profitable as well as hands off, which is nice.
Yeah, it's great that you're able to rely on that organic traffic to bring the majority of consumers to your listings. Following on from what you were saying there, what do you see as the major opportunities for growth with this business?
I see a variety of different opportunities for growing and expanding this business. I see some massive big wins as well as some additional opportunities. I think for one, biggest wins that a buyer could focus on is launching more products on Amazon that would add to this brand. A lot of customers who buy these products come back for repeat purchases and maybe looking for similar products to supplement. So you could add products to the brands. And then related to the repeat purchase, that's another opportunity for growth and expansion. While some customers do come back and buy more on Amazon and Etsy naturally, I haven't really been focusing on retargeting customers or pushing them to make repeat purchases. So there are customers who are coming and doing it themselves, but there's a lot of opportunity to hop in and maybe send a message to a customer. Here's 10% off if you buy two. Here you can buy our latest products at a discount. So a lot of opportunity to push for related purchases and repeat purchases. Additionally, Google Ads to Amazon listings, that's a really big opportunity that I just haven't hopped on yet. That's something else that I would prioritize. And then other things that I think are some good wins. One would be growing the Etsy sales more. So doing a bit of marketing towards Etsy, adding the SKUs that are on Amazon but not Etsy, adding those to Etsy. You can also launch products onto the different platforms. So for instance, selling on Walmart, Wish, other platforms like that, you could expand there. And then a few more opportunities that come to mind are one, having a Shopify store. I think that would be successful because these aren't just one-off products. These are products that, one, customers make repeat purchases, as well as they really identify with the brand. Like we talked about earlier, writing in and talking about how much they like the products. You could actually build an off Amazon brand around these products and expect customers to come back and buy more or have positive word of mouth. And then additionally, a couple things you could do. One is optimizing supply chain. So what I do now is I'll ship products from China to Prep Center to Amazon Fulfillment Center. I have in the past at times sent a few shipments straight from China to the fulfillment center, and this helps optimize margins a lot. This just isn't something that I put in the time to streamline and build a system around. So optimizing this supply chain process is a great opportunity to improve margins. And then additionally, some of my products, you could look into finding a supplier in, say, Mexico, where you wouldn't have to factor on the boat shipping, and it would also help reduce costs there. Those are some of the main ones. Some additional ones are one, social media advertising. A lot of these products are very aesthetically pleasing, and that leans well towards Instagram ads, TikTok ads, maybe some Facebook ads. So these are untapped opportunities, as well as mentioned earlier, optimizing Amazon PPC. I think that there's a variety of other opportunities as well that you could hop on, but these are some of the main ones that come to mind.
Yeah, I think that's a really good breakdown of the different opportunities that buyers can take advantage of, ranging from quick wins, as you said, to some really meaty projects that they can sink their teeth into. So that's wonderful. You touched briefly on how your supply chain works, but I'd like to dive a bit deeper into that. Can you walk us through how many suppliers you have? You mentioned that they're based in China.
Yeah, happy to dive more into that. So, right now, I have four suppliers. The majority of the SKUs come from one supplier, and that one supplier also produces the majority of the revenue. And then there's three more suppliers, which each produce one to two SKUs. So, all of these are in China, very straightforward to work with, no communication barriers, long term relationships built with them. They'll send me gifts on Christmas all the time, things like that. So, very happy with the relationships. And they'll produce the products for me. At that point, once the products are produced, have an inspector come in that I've been working with for years. They come in and inspect the shipments, make sure no issues. At that point, have our freight forwarder handle getting the goods and to the West Coast from China. Again, freight forwarder I've been working with for a while, so everything's pretty streamlined, no issues there. And then the freight forwarder will get the products to our prep center on the West Coast. The prep center then will prepare the products as needed. And what we'll do is at that point, we'll either have Amazon pick up the products from our prep center and bring it to their fulfillment centers. Or what's nice is that our prep center additionally offers the service to us of bringing the products themselves to the fulfillment center if we want. The nice part about that is that our prep center is very timely and quick about delivering products. So if we're ever in a pinch and we don't want to wait for Amazon to pick up the products, our prep center can get the products to Amazon much quicker, which helps around Q4 and tight deadlines.
Yeah, I'm sure. It sounds like a very streamlined process with between the inspection at the supplier plus the prep center. It sounds like there's not much room for error, which is a great thing. How long does it normally take to replenish your inventory? So from the day you order new stock with your supplier to the day it arrives at the prep center?
I would say that it depends a little bit on how ocean shipping is doing since we ship our products by ocean, but in general, so let's break it down. Production time of the majority of our products is about 1 month. And then the sea shipping could be anywhere like 2 to 3 weeks. If you want to be extra conservative, 4 weeks. So I'd say the majority of our products takes about 2 months. If you want to be conservative, maybe add an extra week or two. And then we do have some products that take an extra month of manufacturing, but those are not the products that take up the majority of revenue. So products that take up the majority of revenue, I'd say about 2 months. And then some of the other products are about 3 months.
Fantastic. Yeah. What are your current inventory limits at Amazon warehouses? Have you had trouble with limited inventory and storing your stock there, or have you been able to store as much as you need?
We've had no issues with inventory limits. And in fact, we have a lot more space than we've been using. Definitely want to try to make more use of this space. So our limits are one for standard size inventory, it's 1,561 units. Oversized inventory, 8,252 units. Apparel, 1,000 units. Footwear, 1,000 units. Extra large storage, 1 unit, and then aerosol storage, 10 cubic feet.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's good to hear that you have more space than you need. That's always better than the opposite situation. So, Jake, what does a typical work week look like for you when running this business? How many hours are you spending on the business? What sort of tasks and activities are taking up your time?
The business is super hands off, which is nice. So, right now, it doesn't really take up much time. I very easily taught my dad how to manage all the day to day, and I'll walk through what he does and the time breakdown. For him, it takes maybe a few hours a week at most. I'd say like 3 hours if you want to be conservative. And what that just involves is once every couple or few days, checking the inventory levels, plugging the new numbers into a spreadsheet. And this is something that you could automate too, so you don't even have to do it yourself. At that point, the spreadsheet just turns red or green, depending on how much inventory we have. And if needed, it'll say that we need to send more inventory. If that is the case, he just shoots off an email to our freight forwarder letting them know the amount of inventory that needs to be sent to Amazon. And this all comes from the spreadsheet. So the spreadsheet will tell you the number two. And then at that point, he would maybe just create the shipment in Amazon and send the labels to our prep center. That's pretty straightforward there. Additionally, if needed, so like maybe once every couple or few months, he'll just shoot a message to our supplier telling them we need to place an order, just a few back and forths. And then the only other additional work is just once every few days, checking Etsy messages, just seeing if we have any Amazon messages from customers or a text on our texting software. So really not much work at all, just a few hours a week. And that just involves sending a few emails and updating numbers, which is something that you could also easily outsource to a VA or automate with software.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It sounds like everything's running like a well-oiled machine at this point, and it's great that the business is so hands-off. With everything that we've discussed in mind, what do you think the biggest challenge will be for a buyer taking over this business?
I think one, on the bright side, the way things are going, continuing the revenue is pretty automated and you don't have to worry about that. So this business has been consistently running and growing over the years without much additional effort. So once you get SKUs going, you're good. The additional challenges will be to expand the product line. So I like to focus on adding in products that add a lot of value to the market, things that are a bit more customized, and that involves a bit more work up front, as opposed to a shotgun approach where you just launch a lot of copycat products and see what sticks. When you follow that approach, the challenge is putting in the time and effort to find and launch the right products. But then the bright side of that is once they're going, things are a lot more streamlined. The revenue is consistent and you don't have to worry about competitors coming in and stealing your share of the market. So I'd say that the biggest challenge is if they want to continue that thought process of launching products on Amazon, the challenge will be picking out the right products and then launching them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fantastic point. Having experienced a lot of these things yourself, how much support are you willing to offer buyers so that they can lean on your expertise as they transition into the business?
My main goal is to make sure that the buyer is happy when they're buying this business and is able to easily take things over and hit the ground running. And I'm happy to talk to them about what would help them do that. What I had in mind was for the first month, so 30 days, we could hop on weekly video calls. I could walk them through the different softwares that we use, as well as walk them through Amazon Seller Central, pretty much anything they wanted to see, kind of take them hand by hand and walk them through things. I'm thinking up to 2 hours per call, and we could also record these calls so they can reference back to them. And then additionally, during this 30-day period, we could email back and forth for questions they may have, as well as have phone calls within reason. So not every day, multiple times a day, but if there's something they want to talk through, more than happy to hop on the phone and help them with that. And then additionally, after this 30-day period, I would be open to answering questions via email to help out with any issues they run into, or if they want my feedback on products they may potentially be launching. And then lastly, during this second 20-day period, so after the 30 days, these 20 days, also willing to hop on occasional ad hoc calls, assuming there are specific questions the buyer has and they're not abusing this phone call privilege, I'd say. And then at that point, I would like that to be the end of the hardcore support. But since my main goal is to help the buyer feel confident and comfortable buying the business, I am here for the occasional questions here or there, but the support would start to slow down at that point.
Yeah, I think that's great. That support certainly sounds very comprehensive and should be more than enough to get the buyer up and on their feet. When it comes time to actually negotiating the details of the sale, would you be open to something like an earn-out agreement?
Yeah, so I'm more than happy to discuss an earn out with the buyer. What I'd say is that the specific terms of the earnout would obviously be very contextual. So depending what we agreed upon as far as upfront payment terms, how much of the payment was made during each of the, I guess, payment periods. What I'd say is that my initial thoughts on an earnout would be that one, I would like the cost of inventory to be paid up front. And then additionally, at a minimum, 50% of the business paid up front. And then the remainder could be paid over a certain time period. But then again, one note on that, obviously the trade-offs of payment up front versus payment over time, there would be different expectations about how much would be paid if we were doing payment over time versus everything all at once, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. And would you commit to a non-compete agreement?
Yeah, more than happy to commit to a non-compete agreement.
Fantastic. Well, Jake, that leads us into the final question of the interview, probably the most important one. So, if you had to put yourself into the shoes of a buyer, why do you think your business is a business worth buying?
That's a great question. I think that this business is a great business to buy for a variety of reasons. One, you're buying a business that has a proven track record over the years. Through all the ups and downs of the economy, this business has not just produced revenue and profit, but has actually continued to drastically grow year over year. That brings me confidence in the business and would do the same for you. Additionally, you're buying a business where the products are actually providing value to the market. So all of these products have some level of customization and uniqueness. These products aren't being sold by any other competitors elsewhere. Additionally, this business is coming with some level of trademarks as well as design patents that are in the work. So you'll have these to help protect your assets. And then also the business you're buying, on top of the customization these products have, the customers are validating the value that the business brings them. All of these messages about how a product has impacted their lives or how meaningful it is to them shows that this is not just a set of products, but something you could actually build a brand around. And this is particularly exciting to me because it leads to a lot of opportunities, such as growing your own Shopify store, getting into stores if you want to. So this is a proven business that adds value, that has a lot of opportunities for expansion. And I think that that would get me to be excited about buying the business if I was a buyer.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. It certainly sounds like the business has a lot going for it. So it's a great asset for buyers to look into for sure. Jake, do you have anything else you'd like to share with our listeners before we wrap this up?
I would just say that there's no time to start growing or buying your own business like today. There's nothing stopping you from having the business of your dreams. You just got to get out there and put in the work. So get started, push through those challenges, and whatever goals you want, get out there and hit them.
Fantastic. Very well said. And this business is certainly a great place for buyers to start. Jake, thank you so much for coming onto the show and giving us some more insight into you and your business and how you've built it up to this point. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you. It's been great being on the show. Looking forward to listening to this episode and other ones that come out.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 64125. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.